When you hear the word performance, what comes to your mind? When you hear the word performance, what comes to your mind? Can we put that in the chat room? How will you describe performance? What comes to your word? Mr. Momo. Mr. Momo, you've retained this position. The way I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, you've maintained this position since yesterday. Why are you putting up why are you putting up your video now? Okay. You've maintained this particular position. All right. Okay. So output, evaluation. Okay. Evaluation. Okay. Results. Thank you. Results, evaluation, results and outputs. Your output, your results, your output. Why do we get paid? In one word, why do we get paid? Performance could be results over activity. Okay, thank you. Why do we get paid? It's purposefully based on why do we get paid? Okay, somebody said okay, so I'm noticing that my network is a bit fluctuating. My network is a bit fluctuating, but I'm sure. Okay, so we get paid for results, outputs, efficiency. All right. So why do you get paid in your organization? Can somebody, in one word, why do we get paid? Why do we get paid? Why do we get paid? So I'm watching the chat room. We get paid for carrying out our responsibilities. All right. You get paid because your input to the overall output of organization. Okay, we get paid for work done. Okay, for results, your result and or output, achievement. Okay. Performance deals with your abilities and competencies to achieve assigned tasks in line with the organizational goals. Because we contribute towards achieving the organizational objectives. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We get paid for our time. Okay. It is your ability to deliver all your job duties. All right. For carrying out our work effectively. All right. For service standard, for work done. All right. Now, I want to ask another question. What determines how we are paid? What determines what if you were to have inputs to determine how salaries will be paid, how compensation and benefits will be made? What would be the major inputs? Why will some people collect 100,000 and another people collect 200,000 in the same organization? Another people collect 500,000. Then some people collect 1 million, 1.5. Why? Okay, so somebody said performance. Another person said grade level, your performance. Evaluation of our performance. Thank you, Mr. Missing. Okay, to meet needs and wants. We will get paid to meet needs and wants. Okay. All right. Now, the essence of all of these questions actually justifies the reason for performance. The reason for performance. Okay. We are paid based on performance. We are fired based on performance. We are disciplined based on performance. We are demoted based on performance. Performance actually is critical. The more your contribution to organizational goals and objectives, the more you stand the opportunity, higher compensations, higher rewards, higher packages, and the likes. Okay. For those of us in the public sector, you might not want to bother too much about performance, especially if you're in the ministry. But if you're in the agency, obviously performance is a very important word for you, okay? Because you must keep up. There are some agencies that work like they are private organizations. Yeah, I've seen some of them. Their work, it would have been better that you're in the private sector. Their work is something else. All right. So they are always on performance, and the likes. So in this class, we are going to look at performance in a bit, and we will all share our thoughts towards this. Now, by the end of this class, we'll be able to define performance management and explain its strategic importance to organizational success, understand the 4 stages of performance management cycle and how they interconnect, identify and apply various performance appraisal methods appropriate to different contexts, design SMART goals that align individual performance with organizational objectives, implement continuous feedback mechanisms to improve employee performance, and then to address common performance management challenges in Nigerian organizations. Now, by definition, performance management is a strategic, continuous process between managers, employees, and HR that involves communicating expectations, setting goals, providing feedback, and developing employees. It aims to align individual employee goals with organizational objectives and create a work environment that encourages everyone to fulfill their potential. Organizations with effective performance management system see 30% higher revenue growth on the average. Now, let's get back to our description of what HR is and what admin is. Okay, please, I will need you to confirm that you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 on chat in the chat room. Okay. And you can confirm that the screen is moving. Currently, we are on what is performance management, this slide. Okay, so 22 confirms that you can see it and it is moving. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, let's go back a bit of human resource management and then look at personnel management. Before now, what performance meant was you are able to do what was assigned to you, and then you get paid for doing that. So the relationship that existed in the personnel administrative era was more like transactional in nature. So the goals are being set by the organization, for the organization. Remember yesterday I talked about the mechanistic approach, the Frederick Taylor's approach, the Taylorism model of management, of people management, okay? That focused more the organization setting the goals for the organization, by the organization, for the organization, not for the people. But in human resource management, we'll begin to look at the possibilities of people, or what we call alignment. Now, it's important that we note that in human resources, we don't deal with micromanaging people. Rather, we deal with cultivation of potentials. We deal with cultivation of talents. Okay, I will say this again. We don't micromanage people. We give people opportunity to cultivate their potentials. Now, in the personnel administrative era, we were more of micromanaging people. We weren't providing opportunities for individual exploration. We weren't looking at anything other than profit maximization. So in the industrial era, in the personnel administrative era, one of the major drive of the managerial function was profit maximization. And to achieve this, he had to do it through the authoritarian approach, the mechanistic approach, the scientific class, the neoclassical approach, which wasn't looking at the people as assets. It wasn't looking at the people as resources. It wasn't looking at people as capitals, but rather it was looking at people as machines, as tools, things that are replaceable. If you're worn out, we replace you. So in the era of personnel administration, performance management was, we give you a job role, you do the job role, and then we pay you. By any means you don't meet up with that job role, there are terms and conditions that are considered, they were considered more of performance checklist or performance standards. But actually, they weren't really performance standards, they were disciplinary measures. So what was considered performance standards in personnel administrative era were actually disciplinary measures. Sometimes ago, in the early days of my life, I had to visit somebody in the hospital. And this lady, for almost every time we're there, she kept sighing. She kept sighing. So I was like, is it that you're not happy that we came? She said, no, no, no. It's not that she's not happy, but the thing is, for every day she spent in this hospital, they deduct 1,000 naira from her salary. I'm like, I don't understand. What does that mean? He said, that's how they work in the organization. They don't care if you are sick or if you are well. Wow. And there are many organizations like that. Somebody, I'm not going to mention any organization, but the organizations, even till date, they are doing it, especially those ones we consider as foreign organizations. You work from Monday to Sunday, and your health is not their concern. Recently, somebody had to leave an organization that happened to be somewhat an international organization. And I asked him, why did you leave? He said, in that place, if you like, die. If you like, leave. It doesn't concern them. I was like, I don't understand. So there are still organizations that operate the personnel administrative format. What they consider as performance is you do what you're asked to do, then we pay you what you're meant to pay. Actually, that is a contract form of engagement, and it is transactional in nature. It's transactional in nature. But in the era of human resources, this is the beautiful part of human resources. You manage relationships collectively. As a HR, you manage, as a HR, you are the mediator. You are the middleman between the management and the staff. So your responsibility as a HR is to understand the corporate strategy. And then inside the corporate strategy, obviously, you understand the vision, missions, goals, and objectives of the organization. Then when you are managing the people, you are also taking into consideration what is their own goals and objectives. In that CV, that thing we call CV, that we used to write career objective, that career objective, many people have not really understood the importance of career objective in a CV. Your career objective should be the number one thing that should signify if your own goal is in alignment with the corporate goal. And that is the first thing every HR should actually look out for. After doing your profiling, the next thing you want to look out for is what is the organizational objective. And many people have started changing organizational objectives. They will now change it to what they call professional summary. They will call it a profile summary and what have you. If your CV does not have an objective, if it doesn't have a focus, then don't blame anybody for not having direction in your career. Because performance starts with objectives. Performance, can you please write that down? Write it down in the comment section. Performance starts with objectives. Write it down. Performance starts with objectives. Write it down so that we can be on the same page. Performance starts with objectives. Performance starts with objective. Performance starts with objectives. That is key. And this objective Thank you so much. This objective is not just the objective of the organization. It is a collective objective of the parties involved. The objective of the people, the objectives of the organization. Why did we bring in pension? Why do we bring in leave? Why do we bring in study leave, sick leave, maternity leave, paternity leave, and all of that? The essence of all of these things is actually to keep us to be on the side of performance. That's both the organization and the individuals are performing. Every year, according to the Nigerian Labour Act, you are entitled to 21 to 30 days of leave annually. 21 to 30 days of leave annually. According to the Nigerian Labour Law, you are entitled to 21 to 30 days of if you have to include weekends, then you have 30 days. If work days, you have 21 days, 21 working days. Okay, 21 working days. Okay, by the time you include your weekend and all of that, you should have at least 1 month, 30 days, 28, 30 days. All right. So the essence of this is that both the organization and the individual will be performing. All right, will be performing. And this is very, very important. This is very, very important. So the next time you want to submit a CV, whether you want to submit a CV for profiling purposes or you want to submit a CV for job purposes, always make sure that there is a career objective in it. Okay, very, very important. So in the area of performance management we are now, with respect to human resource management, there must be the management of the objective of both the people, that's the employees, and the management, that's the organization. All right. Now, why performance management matters? Strategic alignment links employee performance to company objectives. Look at that. Strategic alignment links employees' performance to company objectives. That means your performance is measured against the objectives of the organization. Your performance is measured against the objectives of the organization. There is what we call KPI. Anytime you hear performance, before we finish the discussion, you must always hear things like vision, mission, goals, objectives, strategy. But one thing that that brings it to the base is what we call KPI, key performance indicators. Now, strategic alignment linking employee performance to corporate objectives. In the same vein, strategic alignment also links corporate performance, that's management performance, to the objective of the individual. One of the things we've been advocating for since 2022 is people shouldn't retire and be left alone. Yes, we have been on that advocacy. How can somebody work with you for 30 years, for 35 years, for 21 years, and then 20 years, 50, and then the person retires, and all of a sudden nothing concerns you and the person again? That kind of divorce is not good. There should be post-service programs. I'm talking with respect to public sector, even the private sector. I'm talking of post-service. Now, there are some organizations that have gone in employee relations. They've gone beyond pensions and benefits. They've gone beyond those ones. Those ones are old model kind of employee relations. There are deeper dimensions, strategic dimensions of employee relations. Let me give you an example. We've come to that point where some organizations, they will give you not an optional opportunity. You have a mandatory opportunity to buy into the shares of the organization while you are there. So you can buy your way into becoming the chairman of the organization if you so wish, without your mega salary that you're earning gradually. But you're buying into the shares. You're not just they are not just going to leave you tomorrow. Now, one thing we've noticed is that those organizations that have better employee relations, their performance is high. Because the people that you are dealing with, they are no longer just employees, they've become shareholders. Their stake is now high. So they are not treating the organization with levity. I watched a particular organization, and this woman said she had worked in the organization for 45 years. For 45 years, she had been in the organization. Another one said she had worked there for 38 years. And they are still working. Why? Because they are now shareholders. They no longer consider themselves as employees. They now consider themselves as, this is my company. And that is where performance is going to beyond, did you do your work today? Beyond street supervision, people should have ownership. Do you get that? Ownership. You remember, there's what we call the McGregor's theory of X and Y. I don't know. Does anybody remember that theory? For those of us that are management students, do you remember McGregor's theory? Do you remember McGregor's theory? Who does? Who remembers? If you remember McGregor's theory, just type M in the chat room. If you remember McGregor's theory, just type M in the chat room. McGregor's theory of X and Y. That theory is a very powerful theory. Very powerful theory. Okay, McGregor's theory of X and Y. Okay, so Alita will remembers it. Hafsat Enamudu. Hope I pronounced it right. Okay, now McGregor's theory of X and Y. When we get to level 2, and we begin to talk about employee relations in deep, there are many theories that we'll review, and not reviewing them for theoretical purposes. No, practically we see the implications of those theories. McGregor's theory X, the first theory X, says man is a lazy being and will not want to work. Man dislikes work. Man doesn't like anything that will cause him pain. And it is absolutely true. That's the first proposition. After a while, McGregor came back and had another theory called Y. He said, man will work provided the environment is sufficiently and adequately in support of the person's objectives, for the person's advancement, for the person's autonomy, then the person will work. Okay, so one aspect of the theory says man is lazy, man doesn't like work, man doesn't like man doesn't like pain, and that is where personnel is driving from. Personnel want man to do everything, but never wants to do anything for man. So man will resist that. There are many organizations till tomorrow, they are still having that a personnel administrative nature. I said it yesterday. So we said, do you think you're the only one? There are 1,000 or more of you waiting for this job. We just did you a favor. That sentence is enough to take you to industrial court, and you tell the person what you mean, because that could cause emotional trauma. That could cause psychological imbalance. That means you're telling the person that is possibly not of use there, so you can replace him anytime. And that's why, for those of us that work without appointment letters, you are not working. No, you don't have a job. If you ever find yourself, I'm talking to the private sector now, you ever find yourself in an organization, you don't have an appointment letter, or you even run a firm and it does not occur to you to give people appointment letter, you are not running an organization. Okay. So it is important for us to understand these two dimensions. So McGregor's theory dealt with first the industrial era of personnel administration. Man doesn't like work. Man disowns work. Man doesn't want to take responsibility. Man doesn't like leadership. Man is just normal in the personnel administrative domain. Who wants to collect work that they won't pay him for? Who wants to collect work that they will just be shouting on his head? Who wants to do that? Who wants to work where he's not appreciated, where he's not recognized, where he's not well remunerated? Who wants to do that? But the other side is where he now brought in the human relations side. He said, man will always love to take responsibility, provided he's taking that responsibility will advance the cause of his own objective. Not the objective of the organization now, but his own objective. In managerial economics, there is what we call business objectives. We have about five to six business objectives. Primary to it is profit maximization. Secondary to it, we have sales and revenue maximization. We have growth maximization. We have long-run survival and market share maximization. We have many things to maximize. But somebody like Baumol, there is a social scientist called Baumol. Baumol brought out a theory, and he was the first person to suggest that profit maximization, listen to me, profit maximization was affecting the productivity, was affecting the performance of the managers. Because the manager actually has nothing to do with profit. Profit is not for the manager. Profit is for the owners of the business. Yes, every business is meant to have profit. No doubt about that. But the profit is for the owners, is not for the managers. So according to Baumol's research, in the era of driving profit maximization, which was what personnel was more of driving then, managers became more like weapons. They became weapons against the employees because they were driving. They were not talking about revenue base or what have you. No, the owners of this company want to take home 15 billion by the end of the year. So irrespective of what you want, if you like, generate 100 billion, generate anyhow you want to do, but at the end of the year, we want 15 billion as our own. So the question is, what is there for the manager? What is there for the employees? So the aspect of profit maximization brought demoralization to performance. So Baumol suggested what he called revenue or sales maximization. So if you're driving sales maximization, now look at this. If you're driving sales maximization, it now gave managers the opportunity to now set what they call targets. You remember that word targets? Yes. Every bank, in fact, every performing organization must know that word target. Now, when it came to target, what he simply did is the organization had its own target, which means if the manager and the staff were to exceed the target, there was opportunity for them to earn extra cash to themselves. That is now what they now began to call commission. So the sales and revenue maximization gave managers, gave employees more advantage, and also gave them more opportunity to drive. Now that they know that the table has turned, we are going to get something at the end of the day. Actually, the profit got maximized, but it wasn't maximized on the mindset of we are working for the owners. It now got maximized on the mindset of we can still get commission, we can still get extra revenue. You see how the McGregor's theory works? So one aspect of the theory says drive profit, and the people say, why should I spend my time driving profit for you? At the end of the day, it's like I'm not working. Then the white theory says, let's turn it around. Now take commission. improve the sales, and let's share the commission, let's share the profit, and people got more engaged. All right, so this performance, the psychology of performance need to be well treated, especially in as time as this, where we have the Gen Z generation that they don't even want to come to work. Okay, is on the basis of what I can do, and you pay me for what I will do, not on what you want me to do or what I can do for you. That's the Gen Z generation. Okay, all right. So there must be that alignment in place. Improved productivity come from clear expectations and regular feedbacks. Clear expectations from both the employers and the employees. Employee development identifies skills gap and growth opportunities. Not this. Anybody that you don't train, don't query him or her for performance. Training precedes performance. Training precedes performance. I'm going to ask a question here, and I want you to listen to me, because these are the dilemmas we face. Most of us in the public sector might not face this dilemma, because the recruitment is done by head of service, by Federal Civil Service Commission, except for agencies that might have some opportunity to do their own recruitment by themselves. Now, listen, let me ask this question. If you had two candidates for an opportunity for a job vacancy, two candidates, please listen to me very well. You had two candidates, all right? And then one of the candidates has the right certifications, but doesn't have the right skills for the job. What this means is he has the paper. He shows that he has gone for professional courses. He has gotten even his PhD, but he doesn't know how to do the work. He lacks the skills. All right. Then conversely, the second person has the skills, okay, but doesn't have the certifications. Who will you hire? Did you get my question? One has the paper, one has certificates, one has certificates. So who will you hire first? Will you hire certificates first, or will you hire certificates? So let me get your options in the chat room. So which one will you hire first? If you're hiring certificates first, just put certificates. If you're okay, if you're hiring certificates, then you put certificate. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing I will hire the person with certificates, the person with skills, skills. But why will you hire the person with skills and not the person with certificates? Okay, that's the question now. All right. What if now let's get this. What if in your job design, let's assume in your job design says the person must be certified, at the same time the person must have the skills, and these two people is lacking one. How will you deal with that with that job design? Also go to recruitment and selection. Okay, because sometimes when we talk about these things, yeah, except we bring the real scenarios of things that happen, we might not understand all of those principles and things we talk about. So your organizational design has crafted a job design, and the job design said this person must have this skill and must have this certificate. Now you have two people. You have screen, maybe out of 5,000, you screen. You remain two people. One has proven that he has the skills, but the JD is saying that the job specification is saying that he has to have the certification, and then the other person has the certification, but the JD still say he has to have the skills. How do you balance that? How do we balance that? Okay, how do we balance this? Can somebody give any suggestion on how we can balance it? Because this will now become, there are things we call HR dilemma. Okay, this is one of the HR dilemmas. Okay, this is one of the HR dilemmas. How will you handle this matter? How will you handle this HR dilemma? That the person has, one has skills. How will you handle that? I'm looking at the chat room. And the moment I will look at what is there and then we'll proceed. Okay, so let me see. Mostly said, I will recruit the one with SAT and train him in line with my skill, objective, and goal from organization. All right, so that's Moses. And please note, this is now a choice. So there is no answer that will be right or wrong. Because this is the HR decision now. The way HRA will decide will be different from the way HRB will decide. If HRA is performance driven, maybe it's performance driven from day one, because there are organizations that their system is more like we have a cultivating culture, we have the control culture. There are some that theirs is one performance culture. They have the collaborative culture, cultivating culture, control culture, performance culture, and the last one. There are four cultures when it comes to performance. They control, performance, cultivating, and collaborative. All right. Now, some HR, based on their culture towards performance, they will recruit in that line. So those that their culture is control culture, orga, what we want, control most often is compliance based. If you have the certificate, we don't mind. Okay, just come in. So performance is not really based on skills in such kind of cultures. It's compliance. Now, another culture, you have collaborative culture. A collaborative culture will not mind hiring any of them. So if they can hire the person with skill and then build the person to become certified, they can hire the person with certificate and then build the person to have the skills. But the major thing that stands out in a collaborative culture is behavior. Does the person have the right behavior to work in our team? That becomes the major concern. So if the person with the certificate has a better behavior, they will recruit the person over the person that has skills. But if the person with skills have better behavior than the person with certificate, good. Oh, good. I remember a case of a recruitment. I heard of it. I wasn't part of it. I heard of this recruitment exercise. And one of the ways of recruitment, we call it assignment tests. Okay, and we have behavioral tests. Okay, we have behavioral tests. So this exactly this same condition I'm talking about now. These two people, one, as of then, this happened around 2012, 2013. One already then has had his MBA and had professional certifications alongside. The other person didn't have professional certification, didn't have MBA. They asked the person with MBA, this job we want to do now, this is a test, okay? He said, we are going to pay you, I think, was it 30,000? Yeah, they said, we're going to pay you 30,000 for this job. And the guy got angry. He said, do you know, I have social certification, I have an MBA, I have this, I have that, I have this, I want to pay me 30,000. I said, no, you won't be able to work. By the time he could get to his senses to coordinate himself, he had already gone far with displaying his behavior. The people say, okay, no problem. By the time he came back, it's okay, he can work on probation, and he has gone far with his behavior. The other person that didn't have all those skills and all of that, sorry, all those certifications and all of that, they asked him, he said, we'll pay you 30,000 naira for this job for a start. If you're able to do well, then we'll enhance your salary. And the young man was excited. He told them that he's here to learn. Since he doesn't have all the certifications, he hoped to build himself from this platform. And when the people saw the behavior, they decided to recruit him over the person that has MBA and assorted certifications. So in a collaborative culture, more of what they are looking for is behavior. All right. Then in a performance culture, from day one, you have to perform. From day one, you have to start performing. So a performance culture could actually go with the person with skills and tell him, okay, while you are here, we can pay for your certification. Okay, you can go to school while you are here. A few months ago, roughly a month, is it up to 2 months? I was privileged to deliver a lecture to the staff of a bank. And when I was done with that training, the HR of that particular bank happened to be our fellow. And when we were talking, he asked me a question. He said, is there anything you would like us to improve on? And I pointed out to him, I said, your operations guy, your IT operations guy, he needs to be coached and he needs to be mentored. And he said something. He said, that young man you see, we recruited him when he didn't have the NCE, OND, HND, or BSc. He said, but in this place, he has been able to go to school. He has been able to achieve this certification. He has been able to do that certification while he was there. That is a collaborative culture. Okay. Meanwhile, the other ones that you have to have some level of certifications and all of that before you go. So in a HR dilemma, the way I might treat it might be different based on the organizational culture and behavior. And also some will base it on organizational objectives. What do we want to achieve at this time? Okay, and then what kind of employment are we giving this person? Is it a full-time employment? Is it a part-time employment? Is it a contract employment? All of these things have their ways of determining which of them will employ part-time. Okay, so I enjoyed all of the views we have here. They are all of the views based on our different perspectives to culture and what performance means to our culture. And nobody is wrong. Nobody here is wrong. Okay, nobody here is wrong. Okay, so I see. Okay, so for me, say it is to look for another candidate that has both. Recruitment is not an easy job. Okay. Hafsat said, I will employ the one with certificate and train him when employed. Sharifat Waziri said, I hired the skills and send him to school to get certificate. Do you notice that this same scenario that we just played out now, it even happens when people want to get married. Okay, when people want to get married, sometimes they don't really bother to. Some people don't bother. Say no. Some people say he has to have a PhD before I marry. Some people say, has he gone to primary school? Yes. Don't worry, he will finish the remaining school when we get married. Men and female alike. Okay, male and female alike. So this issue of performance is a serious matter. Okay, and there are many things that determine this performance. And like I said, training will always precede performance. Training will always precede performance. Training will always precede performance. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just having a little technical glitch that I'm trying to resolve here. Okay, just a moment and we'll be back. Okay, please give me a moment. I may need to log out and then come back to class. Just a moment. I may need to log out and come back to class. Thank you for your understanding. Please, sincere apologies for that. Apologies. So let's continue with our discussions, please. Please kindly confirm you can hear me. If you can hear me loud and clear, kindly type 1 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, please kindly type 1 in the chat room. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for that technical glitch. Okay, so we've said so much around the performance management, and I believe by now you would have known from your own organization whether it is performance management in terms of HR or performance management in terms of personnel administration that you are handling. And we've also said something that we've said many things that are important here. Among the things we've said is the person you've not trained, don't blame the person. Training precedes performance. Training is important. Okay, there is no organization you go to and they don't do induction training. And for many organizations that they don't pay attention to training, I don't know how they expect to have performance. Okay, I don't know how they expect to have performance. And then for some that have training budget, but the training budget is diverted to something else, and we're still expecting the staff to perform, something is wrong. Training on its own has a way of motivating staff. Okay, training on its own has a way of building team spirit among staff. Training on its own has a way of giving staff capacity to stand. Okay, training has a way of giving staff voice. So when you run year in, year out without training, you are inevitably saying that we are not ready to grow. One of the reasons that in Nigeria we pay more attention now, in recent time, we pay more attention to borrowing. We keep borrowing and we keep borrowing as a nation. And then when you come down, when you go to the MDAs, they will tell you there is no budget for training, budget has not been approved for training, and all of that. If we don't train our staff to build capacity to produce the result, then we'll go and borrow from those who are training their people to produce the results, and we'll end up serving and being in slavery. If we don't make human capital development a priority, performance will be off the site. It's not possible that you can say you are performing without adequate skilling and upskilling. All right, so that's very, very important. Talent retention increases when employees have clear career paths and development support. Fair evaluation through objective performance assessment reduces bias and increases trust. Organizational agility enables quick adaptation to changing business needs. Okay, so we've been able to establish why performance matters across different sectors, whether it is in the public or in the private sector. Okay, very, very important. There are MDAs that are supposed to be revenue generating MDAs, but they have ended up serving without generating any revenue. Why? Because we don't pay attention to training. And any culture that does not take training seriously is a culture that will keep the organization moribund. Any culture that does not pay attention to training and development, that is a culture that lacks creativity. That is a culture that lacks innovation. That culture is possessed. So we need to pay attention to, and then importantly, even if your organization chooses not to train you, please, you have a responsibility to yourself first. You know, there is this balance in Nigeria. We say all man to himself. There is nowhere you are working right now that you work there forever. There is none. Few days, few years, few months from now, you'll be off that place. What will happen to you? You'll become all man to himself, OYO, on your own. So whether the organization trains you, organization doesn't train you, always make provision for your own personal development. They call it continuous professional development. And the person that receives the most benefit first is the person, you as an individual, receive the first benefit of training before it trickles down to any other place, or to any other person, or to any other organization, or to any organization at all. we must take our personal development very seriously, because that is the foundation to our performance. Okay, I shared an experience here during the GNI class of a woman from Ministry of Petroleum that was to attend our course, and the director told her that this course is for she wasn't an admin staff, she wasn't a HR staff, she just wanted to attend the course, and the director told her that this HR course is not for you, it's for admin people, it's for HR people. However, she found her way to that class. She spent few days with us learning, and when she went back, she said during the conference where she was inducted, she shared her experience. She said when she went back to work, the same director gave her an assignment. That assignment is supposed to have taken her long. It's supposed to have taken her weeks, if not months, to do. But within 30 minutes, she was able to do the work. And the director asked her, how were you able to do it? And she said she told him, sir, it was from the thing I learned in that training that you said I shouldn't go, it's for HR. And the man was like, if that's the case, me too, I will come for the training. Okay. Now, it wasn't the organization that sent her, neither was it the organization that sent the director to come. Okay. But based on their personal development, they've been able to add value to the things they do within the organization. Do you think they will go unnoticed? Obviously, they will not. They will not. Performance management versus performance appraisal. Most often we confuse the two, or we use the two interchangeably, but there's a difference between the two. Performance management is a continuous year-round process focused on development and improvement. Performance appraisal is a periodic formal evaluation, typically annual or semi-annual. The modern approach views performance management as encompassing appraisal as one component within a broader developmental system. Before now, in the personnel administrative function, one of what we used to pay attention there was performance appraisal and performance evaluation. Okay, which was done once in a while, maybe half yearly. Okay, we do that every 6 months. We do that, or at the end of the year we do that. Okay, and then we submit performance report, which most organizations didn't really pay attention to. But the introduction of HR brought in the performance management that made more holistic view, or more holistic approach to management of performance. Okay, so instead of just stopping at appraisal, we now have a complete performance cycle, of which appraisal is just a component of that cycle. Okay, performance is just a component of that cycle. In contemporary time, there's what we call the agile performance management. Why the traditional management system, performance management system, still typically do their performance tri-monthly, some do it 6 monthly, okay, some even do it annually. But in the agile management system, performance is now done as you're doing your work, you are being evaluated. That's where the HR metrics, the HR metrics now has its own has more advantage, because with HR information system you can appraise immediately. In your HR information system, for example, you have your KPI that has already been set, and you have your work that is being done. If you're able to complete the work, you will see the variance. If it is a full completed work, you will see. If there's a deviation between what is planned versus what is done, you will see it there. So you have your, if not per minute appraiser now, per minute performance system running round the clock. Okay, running round the clock. Then at the end of the day, the manager or the supervisor takes an appraisal of what this person did, what that person did, what that person did. So we have more data. What happens is that we have more data to make decisions a quarterly basis, not that you have one data and then use that data to make a decision that is going to impact the organization in the next 5 years. Okay, you used one data to make a decision that will impact the organization in the next 4 years. No, it shouldn't be so. If we want to have a highly performing organization, then we should build HR data as often as possible. And with our HR information system, we'll be able to produce such information. We should be able to produce such information. Okay, I was in National Assembly for a discussion with one of the PAMSECs there. And then in his office, I saw them putting something. I think I've seen that also in the head of service and around some other ministries. And I asked him, what is this? He said, it's the clocking system. So when you come, you clock in, and when you're going, you clock out. I said, hey. So people have started clock in, clock out, and it's digitalized. So instead of going to sign in on paper that I came or I did not come, automatically that clock in, clock out system have eliminated the possibility of somebody saying he came by 7 a.m. when he came by 11 a.m. Okay, and that already builds data. It automatically builds data into the system. It builds data into the system. There are these other organizations that have the RFA, automated login systems. So as you're coming through the gate, it scans you and logs you in. So anytime you come first to the office, it scans you and logs you in. I've seen it in some MDAs. They have that. You come, they don't have the one you have to put your fingerprint. They have the one that captures your entire face, your biometric, and logs you in. And it takes it to the, if they have good HR information system, then you should take it to the back end where we should be able to have data. So if somebody claims to be coming to work by 9 a.m., meanwhile, there is consistency of report that the person comes to work by 11 a.m. We don't need any much debate on that one. Okay, so with the introduction of performance management, we have better privileges. Okay, because the performance system is integrated. Integrated with the HR information system, integrated with every other aspect of the organization. Quickly, the 5 elements of performance management. We have the goal setting, continuous feedback, performance monitoring, development and training, recognition and rewards. Now, we understand goals setting, that performance starts with objectives, right? Performance starts with objectives. Managers and employees collaboratively set SMART goals aligned with company's broader vision and strategy. Goals relate to both work performance and career development with regular review and adjustment as priorities shift. I want you to look at this. Managers and employees collaboratively set SMART goals. Not that the manager set the goals and ask the employees to perform. No, they set it collaboratively, and that is the benefit of HR. Okay, having a functional HR system. There is a collective management of relationship. Okay, who can remember the full meaning of SMART? Who can remember the full meaning of SMART? Who does remember the full meaning of SMART? Okay, who can remember the full meaning of SMART? SMART. Okay, so let me be looking out for the answer in the chat room while I continue my class, because my time is running so fast. Okay. Now, what this means also, remember that we are now serving as mentors, we are serving as coaches, we are now HR advocates, the people advocates, right? What this means is that we have a responsibility to help our fellow employees, especially our subordinates, to make sure that they also have goals for themselves. They also have visions for themselves. Okay, they have visions for themselves. They have goals for themselves. All right, thank you so much, Mabo Kador. specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Thank you so much. Also, Mr. Mizim. Okay, all right. The next thing there is continuous feedback. Continuous feedback. Remember that performance management is a continuous system. So if performance management is a continuous system, then there must be continuous feedback. If performance management is a continuous system, then there must be continuous feedback. All right. Regular meetings through the year, not just annual reviews, real-time, frequent feedback builds trust and addresses issues early. Two-way dialogue between manager and employee fosters a culture of growth and continuous improvement. They'll have the performance monitoring, track progress towards goals using key metrics and KPIs, regular check-ins to assess performance, identify obstacles, and provide support. Focus on outcomes, not micromanagement. Focus on outcome, not on the people. Focus on the outcome, not on the people. Why? Ask the question of what can we do to get it better? Okay, what can we do to help you become better? Not why are you like this? For the past 4 months you have been in this organization, this is your 4th year. This is your 6th year. It is his behavior since he came in. That's the way we know him. You end up putting the person at the corner. Now I have number 4, development and training. I think I just spoke about that. Refresher courses or coaching for underperforming employees, challenging project for top performance to maximize potentials, individual development plans align with career aspirations and investment in building organizational capability. Every year, I believe, every MDA has their training needs assessment. Okay, the best way to get that training needs assessment work out for everybody is to do a training needs assessment where every employee is involved. So you understand what everybody wants. If you want to use a TNA survey, do a TNA survey. Let every staff put in what their training needs is, apart from the unit training needs and the departmental training needs that will all obviously roll up to the MDA training needs. What will be what is the individual training need? So we need to balance the training. Some people may go for training that have nothing to do with the organization, but it has something to do with their life. For example, somebody may want to go for a training on marriage and relationship. I don't know how many MDAs might ever think of handling trainings on marriage and relationship. There are many people that are underperforming because of their marriages. Their marriages are in shambles. And we don't pay attention to asking the question of, is there a training, is there a program we can initiate that can build families? It takes a peaceful home to have a high-performing person. It takes a peace, please, you need to write this one down. It takes a peaceful home to have a high-performing person. It takes, I'm telling you the honest truth. Many people are good, top on their profile in the career they are running, but they fear to go home. They would rather remain in the office than to go home early, because they either don't want to meet their husbands awake or meet their wives awake. Some don't even want to see their children. And a retired army officer recently was telling me, he said, I have 4 children, but I don't count them as children. I have 4 children, but I don't count them as children. What could there have been a program that would have helped him while he was fighting for the country, that could have helped him to have a better relationship with his family? There are some things that work, that keep talking about matters of emotional intelligence. It's not just to talk about customer service. What's the other one? We talk about customer service, procurement. We just keep doing trainings, but directly it's not impacting on the person's personal life. And most often, before you finish the training, that training that you paid millions to send the person, before you finish the training, one quarrel will pop out at home, and the person will forget everything he has ever learned from that training. So there are trainings, individual development plans. Most often, our welfare facilities, our welfare programs don't attend to individual needs. Our welfare program is Do we have kitchen? Do we have restaurant? Can they reduce the money for staff on kitchen services? Can we have a bus system that can be taking staff home and all? To some of us, that's what we consider employee welfare or employee welfare services, wellness and welfare, employee safety. Those ones are secondary. There are these matters of the heart, emotional matters that eat deep, cause more accidents than any other automobile or ship or anything. So let's look at these things. They have a very great role to play. The next time they ask for training and development needs within your MDA, let the staff be open. Would anybody want to go for marriage counseling? You would like to go for? And then we also need to have trainings where spouses need to be in the training. Yes, these are some of the things that multinationals do, and we wonder how come they are retaining staff and the staff don't ever complain, they don't go on riot, they don't go on protest. Have trainings where staff can come with their spouse. I'm not talking of the one they say come with your spouse. Your spouse will be in the hotel and then you'll be in the training. No, that's not the one I'm talking about. Like the one woman was sharing with me. She said she went on training with her husband. I said, wow, that's wonderful. The husband's organization organized training and they asked them to come with their spouse, but their spouse is to stay in the hotel. What is the main reason? So that the men won't be carrying women. And so they are trying to protect their marriage, which is somewhat okay. But there are trainings that you need to bring the two of them together, talk to the two of them so that they will know that there are matters arising. They will have recognitions and rewards, regular performance reviews and appraisals, recognition of outstanding performance through bonuses, promotions, and praise, addressing continuous underperformance, appropriate, fair, transparent reward system that motivates excellence. Okay, so far so good. Are you learning something from this course? Are you learning something from this course? If this course you're learning something from this course, let me see you type 100 in the chat room. If you're learning something from this course, just type 100 in the classroom. 100 in the classroom, in the chat. 100. Okay. So it's good that we are learning. Now let's move on. Trying to see how to move this fast. The more I try to move this fast, the more I am just okay. Performance management cycle. We have the planning, monitoring, development, rating, and rewarding. So the first thing in the performance cycle is your planning. Set performance expectations and SMART goals at the beginning of the cycle. Actively involve employees in planning process to increase satisfaction and motivation. Include employees, because in this matter of performance, employees are key stakeholders. Then number 2, monitoring. Track progress towards goals and provide ongoing feedback on performance. Identify issues early before they become major problems. Identify issues early. Please let me say this. Please, with due respect, there are some of us that have good intentions, but we end up putting fire. You see your staff come to office, you notice that this person is not himself. And then you decide to call the person and ask the person what's happening. The person tries to dodge. At the end of the day, he tells you, my problem is, and maybe it's a family issue. And then you tell him, that is women for you. That is women for you. That's how they behave. If you put your mind on it, you will die young. Remove your mind from it. Let me tell you something. What you've done is like giving a madman a drug to sleep. When he wake up, the madness is still there. Okay, so some of the approach we use in addressing some individual matters. Okay, we need to do better. Okay, we need to do better on them. So provide training on that, provide training and growth opportunities to address improvement areas. Support both correcting underperformance and excelling in strength. Then number 4, rating and reviews. There are many ways we do rating and reviews. Okay, and then with that we can know the appropriate reward to place. Conduct formal appraisals to rate performance. Recognize superior performance and address underperformance appropriately. In your department, you don't need to wait for head of service to do civil service week before you could recognize some staff. A major general attended our HR course last year. He used to be the directing staff at the War College, and then they moved him to Nigeria Army School of Engineering, something mechanical and electrical engineering in Auchis. He shared an experience of what he did. He said one of his staff, one of his army guys, was having birthday. He said during the class, he decided that he was going to be doing that. Since the army might not be doing that at all times, and there are some people that will work in the army, they may work all through and may never receive any recognition, any reward, any bonus or anything. So he said he decided that this is what he was going to do. He said on their birthdays, listen to me, especially all of our directors and those that have you have staff under you, whether you're a supervisor, a team lead, a manager, an executive officer. Listen to me, because this will also play its role on improving performance. He said he made up his mind that all of his staff on their birthday, he was going to write a commendation letter on his letterhead, on his own letter, on the letterhead, and then he was going to give them a golden pen. Okay, not really golden pen, but when I say golden pen, you know what I mean? A special pen with the inscription of their name and what they are being recognized for. And he said he started doing that. One staff, he started noticing that staff, their behavior towards him started, they were being more nice, more, nobody was getting, no agitation and everything. And then later on, he got to understand that it was just those small gifts. He said one of them told him that since he joined the army, nobody had ever recognized him. Nobody. So you see how powerful that is. So when we say reward, it doesn't necessarily mean that you must go and buy a bag of rice, buy a trailer load of tomatoes. And no, those small things that we do. That pen is 500 naira. That paper is 100 naira. Writing on it is free. You write with your hand, put your signature. That letter you're giving that person as a recognition of good work he's doing or what have you, may open more doors and create better relationship with the person, the department, the agency, the entire framework of employment than the rice and the beans you give him at the end of the year, and every Salah and every Easter and every Christmas. Those ones will make more openings for him or for her. So let's pick some of these small things that won't cost us much from our pocket. Maybe in a month you have 5 staff that are doing birthday, so that's 2005. Okay, and you do it, or you can even buy a concrete paper, keep it for your staff. Buy a special paper, you write it with your hand. And this time around, you have to be very careful, because if you write wrongly, you will damage the paper and get another paper and write again. Okay, all right. So conduct formal appraisals, recognize superior performance, and address underperformance. Modern approach emphasizes a continuous performance management with more frequent touch points throughout the year. Okay. Now, for the stage 1 of planning and goal setting, what are the things you do there? Number 1, you have the planning phase overview. Number 2, you have the SMART framework, SMART goal alignment. That's you're aligning both the individual goals and the organizational goals. And then flexibility. No matter what the performance goals and objectives might be, it is open to change. It is subject to adaptation and to change. Let us know that. For the SMART goes, yes, achievable, specific, measurable, realistic, achievable, and time bound. Then stage 2, monitoring and feedback. What do we do? Monitor the activities that have been set. Okay. And then you have the characteristics of effective feedback. It needs to be timely, it needs to be specific, it needs to be balanced, it has to be actionable, it has to have a two-way dialogue that encourages communication, and then forward-looking. Okay, then you have a feedback conversation framework, where you have to prepare to gather specific examples, choose appropriate time and place, then state the purpose, create a safe environment, create a safe climate for the work, describe, share observations and impact, listen, seek employees' feedback, show empathy, agree, collaboratively develop an action plan, then follow up, schedule check-ins, provide ongoing support. Stage 3, developing performance. What are the things you do here? Identify improvement areas. With that, you'll be able to identify training and coaching needs. Then with that, you'll be able to develop challenging assignments to be able to push the people beyond their capacity. Then provide support at all levels. Then ensure that there's an integration of the individual development plans, and then continuous mentoring, continuous coaching, leadership development. Leadership development is core. Most often, some public sector officials feel like leadership training is not for them. It's not directly related to their. A director told me they sent him on 1 month leadership training. He said he can't say exactly what he got from them. He said because even when they sent him on the training, he got there and he was questioning the training framework and everything. It wasn't coordinated and all of that. If you have proper leadership training, it prepares you not just for the immediate, it prepares you for the future to build legacy. So everyone, as we proceed to next week, especially from the level 14 and above, if you're from level 14 and above, you're invited to join us in that strategic leadership and innovation management next week. Leadership training is very, very important. Number 4, ratings and reward. What are the things there? You have the formal appraisals. Conduct your formal appraisals, performance appraisals. Then have your performance ratings. You must have well-established frameworks for performance rating, and we're going to look at them in a moment. The recognition and rewards for performance, addressing underperformance, have your constructive feedback mechanisms, have a fair reward system, and then make sure that there is a circle continuation. Remember that your performance appraisal is continuous. It's not a one-off thing. Now, what are the performance appraisal methods? You have management by objectives, 360-degree feedback, behaviorally anchored rating scales, what we call BAS, critical incident method, self-assessment, and graphic rating scales. On the performance by management by objective, MBO, it is the collaborative goal setting between manager and employee. Goals cascade from organizational to individual level. Focus on results and outcomes. The strength is clear alignment, individual alignment with corporate alignment, and objective measurement. The challenges here is that it's time sensitive and may neglect behavioral aspects. It may neglect behavioral aspects. Number 2, we have the 360-degree feedback, which we consider as the best 360-degree feedback. It is confidential, anonymous feedback from multiple sources, managers, peers, subordinates, and sometimes clients. It provides comprehensive view of the person's performance. The strength here is holistic, okay, and it reduces bias. The challenge here is that it could be time consuming, and then it requires trust and maturity. Number 3, we have the behaviorally anchored rating scales, the BAS. It combines rating scales with specific behavioral examples, defines performance levels with concrete behaviors, more objective than traditional rating scales. The strength here is that it has clear standards and it offers fair evaluation. The challenge is it is difficult and time consuming to develop. The fourth one is that, but with your Gen AI, you can develop all of these frameworks and adapt them to your organization. By tomorrow, we look at how we can use the Gen AI framework to develop all of this. And if you already have one, you can also use Gen AI to see how to enhance it. You have the critical incident method, documents or perhaps documents specific examples of effective and ineffective behaviors, focuses on actual incidents rather than general impressions, provides concrete feedback with real examples. The strength here is specific and evidence-based feedback. The challenge here is that it requires consistent documentation before you can begin to report on the incident, or before you could use that data from the incident as a background, as a yardstick for decision making. Then you have the self-assessment. Employees evaluate their own performance, encourages self-reflection and ownership, often combined with manager assessment to identify perception gaps. The strength here is that it promotes accountability, employee engagement. The challenges is may be overly lenient or harsh and requires calibration. Finally, we have the graphic rating scales that rates employees on predetermined criteria using numeric scale. Common criteria include quality, productivity, dependability, and initiative. Simple and easy to administer. The strength is quick, easy to compare across employees, and the challenges could be that it's subjective, prone to bias, and lacks specificity. Now, continuous performance management. The number one, the agile shift. I talked about the agile performance today. Modern performance management adopts an agile approach that speeds up the performance cycle with more frequent touch points throughout the year. Instead of relying solely on annual reviews, organizations implement quarterly or monthly reviews that enable real-time recognitions and course corrections. This shifts allows performance management to adapt quickly to changing business needs and employee development requirements. The key characteristics is frequent touch points that replaces annual reviews with quarterly or monthly check-ins, while the real-time recognition that celebrates achievement when they happen, not months later. Continuous feedbacks that flows in all directions throughout the year. Frequent adjustment that allows goals and priorities to evolve with business needs. And they'll have adaptability that ensures the system responds to the changing organizational and employee requirements. They'll have the agile principles applied to performance management. We have in the agile manifesto, we have the 12 agile manifestos, and I think we have four agile principles. So is it 4 or 5 agile principles? Can't really remember that. Inspired by agile software development, continuous performance management emphasizes continuous feedback rather than delayed annual assessment. It welcomes changing requirements instead of rigid annual goals. It focuses on delivering value frequently throughout regular development conversations and quick wins. This approach creates a dynamic system that serves both organizational and employee needs more effectively than traditional annual cycles. Now, we've said it in this course over and over again. December 4th, December 2nd, Agile Management Conference. So in that conference, from 2nd and 3rd, we'll be dealing more with all of the agile frameworks, agile mindset, agile methodologies, Okay, can you hear me, please? Please kindly confirm that you can hear me. If you can hear me, please kindly type 1 in the chat room. Sorry, I didn't know I muted myself. If you can hear me, thank you. All right. So I was saying that we've had a 2 hours, 12 minutes on call, and it is good we take a short break before we come back. So should we take a 20 minutes break or should we take a 10 minutes break? Which one will you suggest? If you suggest 20 minutes break, we'll return by 2:30 or we should return by 2:20. Which one do you prefer? 2:30 or 2:20? 20 minutes. So the 20 minutes have it. Let's go on a 20 minutes recess. So we'll be returning back by 2:30. And when we return back, we'll quickly round up. But I promise you, we won't stay here beyond 4 p.m. Thank you and see you by 2:30. God bless you. All right, thank you and welcome back. I trust you had a good 27 minutes? Thank you so much and welcome back to class. Please kindly confirm that you can hear me. If you can hear me loud and clear, please kindly confirm by typing 11. If you can hear me loud and clear, please kindly confirm by typing 11 in the chat room. All right, thank you so much, Ngozi Nwaru. If you can hear me, Kabiru, Hilary, please kindly type 11 in the chat room. At least those I'm seeing their pictures. All right, thank you and welcome back to class. So I'm going to try to round up this section, and then we'll see if we can quickly take just a small section on recruitment and selection, and then we'll call it a day. But like I promised, we won't stay here beyond 4 p.m. We'll be passing the attendance very soon. So if the attendance is not shared here, the attendance will be shared in the WhatsApp group. But you'll be sure to receive your attendance in a moment. So please, can we quickly reach out to our group members, let them know that the class is open? Okay, so I think the CRO has already shared the attendance in the WhatsApp group. That's for the MDAs. And I'm sure they will put up the attendance. Since they've shared the attendance, they will surely put it up here in a moment. So let's get our group members to know that we are back to class. Let's give them 1 or 2 minutes, and then we move. Okay, so while we give 1 or 2 minutes for others to join, those that want to take a little break off the camera, please, in one sentence, what is the one thing you've taken note of in this class since we started? What is that one thing you've taken note of? In underperformance management, what is that one thing you've taken note of? What is that one thing you've taken note of? Underperformance management. Let's see that in the chat room. What is that one thing you've taken note of? Okay, so from Hafsat and Modu, training will always precede performance. Thank you, Hafsat. Okay, so I'm seeing people typing. I'm seeing Kabiru type. So Kabiru, you're typing, is it for this class or you're typing for something else? Kabiru Jama. Kabiru is not hearing me. Kabiru just. All right, so what is the one thing you've taken note of in this class? Just put it in the chat room. Put it in the chat room. Put it in the chat room. Let's put it in the chat room. The attendance has been shared. I can see that the attendance has been shared. Please, let's endeavor to take our attendance. And the attendance also have been shared for those of us in the MDA in your group. So please, let's ensure to take our attendance. Okay, are we still together? If you can hear me loud and clear, please type 11 in the chat room. Let me be sure that everyone is hearing me. If you can hear me loud and clear, please type 11 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, please type 11 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, please type 11 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, please type 11 in the chat room. Okay, so that's beautiful. Everyone is hearing me. Okay, so for the sake of time, let me just proceed. So we are looking at the agile shift to performance management, and I think we've been able to handle this performance management systems in the past 4 years, reflecting widespread recognition that traditional annual review systems are insufficient for today's dynamic business environment. Common performance challenges, one effect or the horn effect, while the challenge of the central tendency, while the challenge of lack of ongoing feedback, while the challenge of misalignment with organizational goals, we have the challenge of inadequate manager training, while the challenge of cultural resistance, whether it be in the private or the public sector, these challenges exist. The recency bias. In the recency bias, managers focus on recent performance, forgetting early achievement or issues. The solution here is to document performance throughout the year, use critical incident method, then conduct regular check-ins. Research of that every other bad thing he has done in the past is wiped away. We judge him for the good thing he's doing today. And then we've not really mastered or had an understanding of whether he has character fluctuations. And then the decision to be good, is it for a purpose that is going to be sustainable, or just for the purpose of getting something to his own advantage and he will return back to his own? So recency bias has its own issues, as the name implies. They'll have the halo or horn effect. One positive or negative trait influences overall rating, creating bias. The solution is to use structured rating criteria, implement multiple raters through the 360-degree feedback, and then apply behavioral anchors. Number 3, we have the central tendency. Managers rate everyone as average to avoid the difficult conversations. The solution is to establish clear performance standards, contribution cautiously. One of my colleagues resigned from his work because of the performance rating he gave to another staff. And he said, in fact, it happened to him in two places. HR is not actually a simple work. HR, whether in the office, everybody wants to work in the HR department, or let me not say everybody, but a good number of people want to work in the HR department or work as HR officers or HR directors. And that poses a threat to that office called the Office of the HR. Now, friends, I'm going to share, they are just for learning purposes. All right. Now, the first time he shared that he was working in a company and they did a performance rating, a normal performance rating. The HR is primary in the performance. The rating of the HR, the rating of the HR is very critical in the overall performance rating. All right. Even if your manager rates you higher, if the HR rates you lower, that is the actual rating. Okay. Now, he said there was this man. They finished their 360 rating. Okay, and he did his own rating based on his own what they know, what the department knows the guy to be doing or what he does. And He said the young man came to him and told him that he will deal with him. Since he decided to frustrate his career, he will deal with him. He said the next day, please note, this is only for learning purposes, not for any other thing, just for educational purpose, right? So he said the next day, they came to office. The entire HR unit, nobody could enter there. Why? They saw is it a pack of bees or what? A swarm of bees at the door of the HR office. Nobody could dare cross that place. Nobody could dare cross that place. He said they kept waiting, maybe something that could, they tried scientific ways of driving it out. They refused to go. So they said, okay, let them wait. Maybe when the sun start coming out, they will be driven away. For almost the whole day, the swarm of bees remained there. So they now went to report to the MD of the company. So when the MD came out, he said, is it because of this that you people are not entering your office? He said, okay, you people should wait. This is real life, or it's not. It's not. He said the MD called, and this is happening in Abuja, not in Mozambique or Zimbabwe. It's happening in Abuja. Okay. He said the MD called the spiritual head. His spiritual head, who happens to be a native doctor. And the native doctor came. He did some rituals, and then the bees went away. The bees, just nobody did any extra thing. The bees just went away. He said immediately he saw that. Immediately he saw that. He said nobody advised him. He had to advise himself. And put a resignation. I said it was him or one of his colleagues, it's still in the HR department, within that same period, had a drastic accident that claimed his legs. Since claimed his legs, drastic accident. He said nobody, I think he said another person within the HR department, whether I said the son or the daughter died, something like that. So all they could go do is to trace it to the person that said he would do. Since the HR decided to frustrate his career, he was going to frustrate the HR. Now, please note, I said I'm not doing a regression analysis, but there are very sensitive matters as far as HR is concerned. HR does not only deal with physical matters, but HR also deals with spiritual matters, because man is a spiritual being. So the HR must also deal with the spiritual composition of man. That's why in IIPM, whenever we are doing training, we always try and give a break from 1 p.m. so that our Muslim brethren will go and pray. That is dealing with the spiritual aspect of man. And if we must have class on a Sunday, it has to be in the evening. All the Christians would have gone to church and they are back. Then we'll have our class. That's if we must have a class on Sunday. That is the spirituality. There is no MDA now that doesn't have a church and a mosque. That is what I'm talking about. You can't throw away those ones. Nobody, if you're HR and you throw them away, they will soon throw you up. Okay? Now, this is just one experience that he had. Now, the last place that he worked, that he also ran away, still on performance matters. Performance matters. They did rating, and while they were doing, they began to observe, he began to observe irregularities. And as a professional HR, he's trying to correct it. And some people said because of what he was doing, he was trying to take food away from their mouth. And they boldly told him, he said, we'll kill you. He said one day he was on his way to work, they double-crossed him. And they pointed the gun at him that if he doesn't stop that thing he's doing in the HR, they will shoot him. He got to the office, tendered the resignation, and left. Performance management. The culture has its role to play. If the organization doesn't really have to let them know that behaviorally, you must be open to what performance rating you see. And if you have any issue, discuss it with the HR. Don't go threatening everybody. Okay, don't go pushing people up and down because you think you are at the top. Nobody should touch you. One of the problems we have in Nigerian leadership is there is no performance appraiser. The government appraises themselves. So whatever they tell you that they do is what they did. The appraisal from the people doesn't matter. So we need to be careful with matters of appraisal and deal with these challenges as they come. All right. So all other ones there, I believe you have seen it clearly. Now, performance management in the Nigerian context, we have the cultural consideration, just like what I just said now. We have the high power distance that creates respect for hierarchy, that may limit open feedback between managers and subordinates. If you are a director in this class, you are a deputy director, you are an AD, and your people are afraid of you, please don't think it's leadership. It's not leadership. You're creating a high power distance, and that will cost you more. That will cost you more. Create time to have meeting and conversation with your staff at all levels. Have the way you have, I don't know whether you have departmental meeting, but when you have a departmental meeting, these are some of the things we'll be discussing at the strategic management levels. The meeting as a tool for strategic leadership, you will see it there. When you have meeting, don't all the agenda always mustn't be formal. Sometimes you get to have a meeting to know how they are faring. Okay, to know how they are. You don't need to wait for your PA, for your SA, for your AS, for your AA, and all of the A's and all of that to tell you that person is having a problem before you know. Okay, that high power distance is a problem on leadership. It's a hard problem. They will have the collectivist orientation that values team performance over individual achievement, requiring balance and recognition. Relationship focus means personal relationship or means personal relationships influence performance, discussions, and evaluation. Don't stay far and you're telling the other staff, this young man in this department, I don't even know what he does here. You are ahead of him, he's under your team, and you don't know exactly what he's doing. You need to call his attention and know what he's doing and know how to help him or help her. They have the indirect communication style, make direct negative feedback. If your communication is not strong and direct, it will make direct negative feedback culturally uncomfortable, requiring sensitivity in feedback delivery. They will have the unique challenges, limited resources that constrain investment in training and development programs, inconsistent implementation across MDAs and organizations create uneven performance management maturity, lack of performance culture in some public sector organizations where tenure and seniority outweigh performance, political interference in public sector performance, skills gap building or capability building. Best practices and example: adapt global performance management framework to Nigerian cultural context rather than importing wholesale. Build performance culture gradually through education and communication, not overnight transformations. Start with simple, clear systems before adding complexity. Invest in manager capability development as a foundation for effective implementation. Use technology to streamline processes and improve consistency. Link performance to national development goals in public sector to create meaning and purpose. Examples will include the Federal Dangote Group and GT Bank, who have built strong performance cultures adapted to the Nigerian context. Essential insight for performance management. Number one, performance management is strategic, not administrative. Performance management is strategic, not administrative. Number two, The cycle is continuous, not annual. The cycle is continuous, not annual. Number 3, goal setting is the foundation for effective performance management, and it has to start with SMART goals. Number 4, multiple appraisal methods serve different purposes, from MBOs, management by objective, to 360-degree feedbacks to bars and other methods. All of them have their own pros and cons. So we have to choose the method that best fits to organizational needs. Number 5, feedback is the engine of improvement. Bill Gates once said that the best gift your customers can give you is feedback. The same thing applies. The best gift your employees can give you as a HR is feedback. Don't collect feedback and then you go to your office and you are fuming. If you can fume and increase your high blood pressure, you leave the office, somebody else will come there. When you receive feedback, in fact, I've said it from the beginning, surveys, provision for surveys, where possible, anonymous surveys. Have survey systems that can make it easy for you to get feedback. During the Gen AI class, we showed you how you can quickly develop a modular for your department, for your organization, just within your department, within your organization. You don't need to know who is saying what. Just let us know. When we see consistency in reports, they will not, okay, maybe something is wrong somewhere. Why is everybody rating us 5? Out of 50 staff, 49 rated staff, and 1 rated us 1. So why is this so? Is it possible that the person did not understand the rating scale? Then you provide training or provide awareness, just information. This is what the rating is. 1 means this, 2 means that, 3 means that, 4 means that, 5 means that. So that when they are rating, it's easy. And then when you get the feedback, you know exactly what is up for you. Okay. And then if you want to do a manual one, which will be cost intensive, I would recommend just build a small app. You can use your AI tools to build those things now. You can use your cloud systems like your Google Forms, your Microsoft Forms, and all of that. You can use those things to build and generate HR data. Okay, this is very, very important. So feedback is the engine of improvement. Development is central to performance management. We've said it before, training and development precedes performance. Then finally, context matters in Nigerian organizations. It's not a one-size-fits-all. What may work for agency A might not work for department A. And what may work for ministry A might not work for ministry B. Though we are all under the same government, but we have different leadership styles. Because of the person or persons there, we have different leadership styles. Okay. Now, building a high performance culture. How do we build a high performance culture? Number one thing is that we need to put in mind that performance management is strategic in nature, not administrative. So with that, we will think of it strategically and we'll work with it strategically. All right. Then the HR has its own role to play, serving as the architect of performance management systems. The HR serves as the architect of performance management system. The HR, you are the one that will draft, and you are the one that will design, you are the one that will implement, you are the one that will continuously improve the systems. You are the one that will ensure that they are fair, they are transparent, and they are developmental. Okay. Then we have, importantly, the path forward for the Nigerian organization. For the public sector, strengthen performance management systems to drive service delivery and national development goals. For the private sector, adopt modern continuous performance management to compete globally and retain top talent. Both sectors should invest in training, leverage technology to streamline processes and adapt global best practices to the Nigerian cultural context. A call to action: design In your performance management system, you have to design fair, transparent developmental systems, train your managers, in this case, train your employees, so be effective performance, to be effective in their performance. For your managers, for your top team, they should be able to provide coaching and mentoring to the junior teams. They have created a culture where performance conversations are valued, not feared. Measure impact and continuously improve your systems. Champion performance excellence in your organization. Thank you for having to put your time to learning in this first lecture. Thank you so much. Questions? If any questions, I will take questions, comments in 4 minutes. Then we will round off with the last section, which is just stone throw by. Any question? Any comments? Any contribution? Any question? Any comment? Any contribution? Okay. Somebody wrote here, Saleh Ahmed. Saleh Ahmed wrote, he says, sir, what criteria are the federal government going to use to pay minimum wage based on performance? Okay, so this is a very interesting question. And I'm sure there were criteria that were raised, because it wouldn't have just been, is it 70,000 now, 75,000 for minimum wage? So when we get to the labor law, by tomorrow we'll get to the labor law, we'll see the definitions for the different criteria and all of that. Okay, so by tomorrow we'll look at what are the things that define minimum wage. Okay, and what minimum wage means minimum work. So what is minimum work and what is minimum wage? All right. Then Cheryl said, please, how is performance management strategic and not administrative? Okay. So that is a very important question. I love that question by Cheryl. So performance management is, you are engaging performance management for the purpose of continuous improvement. So purposefully, performance management is you or the organization securing their future. Okay, performance management is more of the organization securing their future. So it is not it's not an operational role like the administrative role that we talk about. It's not operational, or it doesn't stop at operational levels, but it is more of setting goals and then walking through the path of whatever roles and responsibilities that have been assigned to be able to get to what that future is. Okay, so for the fact that it is leading us to continuous improvement and is leading us to a future better than where we are, we consider it strategic. We will consider it strategic. And then also, importantly, please share if you are still in class, the framework. There had been this argument whether HR should be in top management or not, but graciously, HR now is considered as part of the top management officials. Before that, it wasn't so. All right. The mic is not responding. Okay, I will get to that. Before now, the HR wasn't actually in the C-suite, in the executive suite of corporate management, but now they've become one. So what this means is the HR being in the top management or being a top management operation now can be able to sit down and say, in the next 5 years, these are the kind of skills we need. And in performance management, remember that training and development is essential to performance. So if we do skill gap analysis, we can be able to now identify the skills that could be needed. All right, and then the HR can provide direction for training, provide direction for coaching, for mentoring, in order to meet up with the goals. Strategic role. HR plays a strategic role in people management. Okay, that's very, very important. All right, I'm seeing another question here. It says, how does performance management differ from performance appraisal? Okay, I think Mr. Nabot, we dealt with that earlier today. Okay, Priska said, what are the disadvantages of denying staff training every year? Okay, so there is labor law. There is labor law. Even in we have the National Industrial Court, is it right? Industrial Court, National Industrial Court, if I'm not mistaken. Is it what they call it? National Industrial Court. That they are the one that have the jurisprudence over the national. They are the ones that administer legal matters on labor law matters. Okay, now if you are denied training and development opportunities year in, year out, it has consequences. So it has consequences. For example, Nigerian government made it easier for everybody, every organization to have the leverage to train their staff. And they did that through ITF. So every organization is meant to register. If you have a minimum of 3 staff, register with ITF. And then through ITF, you can provide continuous training and retraining to your staff. So government have made it easier through ITF. So if you are not getting benefits of ITF, there is actually a compliance consequence for that. For example, if those of us that are public contractors, if you don't have your ITF clearance, all right, you won't be able to handle any contract. Your ITF clearance is a proof that yes, you're complying with the training and development policy administered by ITF, Industrial Training Fund. Okay, and then you see the university system and the educational system. They have the TED fund, tertiary education fund, that they make available mostly for research and training and retraining of staff. Okay, so every organization should have their own budget and their own provision for all of that. Okay, every organization should have theirs. Okay, so now, but I believe you came in a bit late, so I will skip your question. I will skip your question. All right, any other questions? So we said that performance management is a holistic approach, while performance appraisal is just a component, is a phase of the performance management cycle. So the performance management is a continuous cycle. Performance appraisal is a component of the performance management system. Mr. Nabot, did you get that? Do I have any other question? Do I have any other question? Okay, for those of us on YouTube, do we have questions? If you have your question, please feel free to drop it in the comment sections and I will be there to also take a look at that. Okay, so before we go to the next section, we have less than 1 hour to go. Yes, we have less than 1 hour to go. Before we go to the next session, let's do our normal routine. In case you've not joined us on YouTube, please, we're going to be doing that right now. So this is what we're going to do. Go straight to the YouTube, drop a comment, subscribe, and like the video. Okay, like this session. So here we have 74 people. So let's get at least 70 70 likes. Okay, let's get at least 70 likes, 70 comments, and 70 subscribers. That's in case you're joining us for the first time. Okay, all right, can we do that very fast? So we're going to just do that for about 1-2 minutes. Yakubu Happiness asked the question, they say, how can organizations ensure that their performance management system promotes a culture of continuous learning and good? Okay, so culture is actually what drives performance. Okay, so the question should be, how will organization have a culture that drives performance? Okay, so it is a question of culture. Culture is what determines performance. Remember that performance is just a strategy. And like Peter Drucker will say, any day, anytime, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So the question should be on culture. And we've said so much about organizational behavior, organizational culture. So let's revisit organizational behavior and organizational culture. We must first of all have a culture of continuous performance, and then from the culture of continuous performance, they will have a culture of continuous learning. It has to start from the culture before it moves to the performance domain. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. So I have 12 people on YouTube now, 13 people. Okay, so I have a new subscriber, Kyo Isaac J. Kyo Isaac J, we give you a very big clap and we celebrate you for subscribing, and for all the subscribers, we celebrate you. Okay. And I celebrate Mr. Momo. His position has never changed on my screen. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, please, let's also be quickly reminded that this course, why it is 100% free for attendance, and I'm sure all of us are learning greatly from all of this. Why it is 100% free for attendance, please be reminded that the certificate is available for request. The certificate for members and MDAs is 50,000. Non-members, non-private sector is 65,000. This course alone is over 300,000, but we are giving this away, and then we are encouraging you to please make sure you get the certification, as it will give you the boost, both whether you're in the public sector or in the private sector. This is one of the most demanded certifications and one of the most demanded area of professionalization today. So you can start from here and then grow deeper and deeper into the HR field. Okay, you can grow deeper and deeper into the HR field. And it's also important to note that the course, the payment you're going to be making will be giving you access into the conference. Okay, to be giving you access into the conference by December 2nd to 4th. So you will not have to pay any extra fee. The conference is meant to be 40,000 for members and 50,000 for non-members, but that has been waived for MDAs that will be joining us then. Okay, so it's a big opportunity for every one of us to fully participate and leverage that opportunity. Okay. Okay. Now, quickly, let's move to our last section for today, which is on recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection. Like I keep saying, HR is a dicey HR is a highly targeted job. Okay, if you are a HR in an organization where their culture is not too friendly. Now there are some people that might be here, they may feel that they are not HR. Let me ask a question. If you are in this class, you are a team lead, you're a supervisor, you are a head of a unit, you are a departmental, you are a head of a sub-unit, you are a director or anything of such, can you put Tutu in the chat room? Can you put Tutu in the chat room? You are a head of a unit, you're a team lead, you're a supervisor, you are a director. Just put Tutu in the chat room. Put Tutu in the chat room. Let me see. So I have many Tutus. Many Tutus. And some of us might not be head or team leads or supervisors in the HR department. Now, whether you're a director in procurement or director in IT or head IT, head Savicom, head this, you're already a HR person. That you are not bearing the mark or the title on your head does not eliminate the fact that you are a HR person already. Okay? This experience happened to me. My HOD, okay, a wonderful man that had very good intentions for the department then. They made him a HOD and he came in one day. By this time, I was already a graduate. I've left school and I was not near the school. He insisted that I came to school. I was wondering, I said, why would Prof want me to come to school? In fact, he asked me to take the only thing I could afford then was night bus. So he asked me to take the next available night bus and come to school. I was wondering what's happening. So I got to school, I entered night bus and I got to school. And when I saw Prof, his eyes were dripping water. His eyes were dripping water. He wore cap, face cap. His eyes were dripping water. The skin that was covering the eye had sagged. His eyes were red. When I saw him, I was like, Prof, have you been on a project? Have you been awake for long? He said, no. I said, because your eye is dripping water, your eye sagged, and all of that. And Prof said, that's why he called me. I said, what's happening? Hey, God have mercy. He said, when they made him HOD, he came to school. And on entering the HOD's office, he saw a red head lizard, a gamma lizard. That was some sort of a sacrifice that was done at his office. He said he ignored it and just called them to remove it. At another time, he entered the office. He saw a bed, more like a sacrifice. He said since that day that he stepped into that office, the day he called me, his head kept banging. His stomach was like the pot gravel inside. He can't turn to the left or turn to the right. His eyes are heavy, like he wants to keep scratching the eye every now and then. And I was like, wow. Just because he became the head of department and all of these things came on board. So remember I said, human resources does not only manage the physical aspect of work, he or she also need to understand that man is spiritual. Please, can you put that in the chat room? Put in the chat room that man is spiritual. Put in the chat room, because all of us need to be aware of that, in case you're not aware. Man is spiritual. Hey, God have mercy you. God is good. Man, so your HR need to be balanced. Okay, your HR need to be completely balanced. Your HR need to be completely balanced, because, like we say, man is a tripartite being. There is the soul, there is the body, and there is the spirit of man. Most often we deal with the spirit, we deal with the soul, that's the intelligence level of man, and we deal with the body through exercise and rest and all of that. But the spirit, most often we leave it as it is. Okay, so we need to put all these things in mind when going for HR roles, so that you don't fall victim, okay, of HR dilemma, right? And there are many people, many people, many heads of departments, many directors, many supervisors, team leads that have lost their life to the ignorance of the fact that man is spiritual, and I need to manage the spiritual part of man. As a team lead, as a HR, as a director, I need to manage the spiritual side of man. Thank you so much for typing that in the chat room. Okay, so in a moment my slide will be up, and then we'll quickly deal with how many sheets is this? Is it 17? Okay, so let's see if we can handle this 17 in the next few minutes, and we'll be done. Thank you so much for sharing. I believe by now everyone would have taken their attendance. I believe by now everyone would have taken their attendance. Okay, so let's quickly look at recruitment, selection, and talent management. Okay, let's quickly look at okay, so based on where I'm streaming from, my slide might be a bit tiny for you, so please, what you may have to do, there is a Zoom function, there is a Zoom icon in front of your screen where you will see my slide. There is a Zoom icon there, so you can zoom in to see the slides. I'm projecting from Google Cloud, so it might be tiny, so please, you can use the Zoom function to zoom it so that you can see better what I'm discussing per time. Okay, all right. So recruitment, selection, and talent management. For the sake of time, permit me to run. What are the objectives? We'll be able to distinguish between recruitment, selection, and talent acquisition, and understand their strategies, or understand their strategic roles in organizational success. Number two, explain the 9-step talent acquisition process, from organizational needs analysis to evaluation and continuous improvement. Number three, apply the 4B talent acquisition strategy framework, which is built by Borrow Bridge, to solve organizational talent challenges, to identify and implement effective selection methods with evidence-based predictive validity for job performance, develop strategies to build employer brand and attract top talent in competitive markets, and then recognize unique challenges and opportunities for talent acquisition in Nigeria public and private sectors. By introduction, 77% of companies globally report talent shortages in a 17-year high. So for the past 17 years, there have been 77% shortages of talent. Finding the right talent is one of the most critical challenges facing organizations today, with 77% of companies globally reporting talent shortages, a 17-year high. The ability to attract, select, and retain qualified people has become a strategic imperative. Talent acquisition is arguably one of the most important drivers of organizational success. It goes beyond simply filling vacancies to encompass a strategic long-term approach to building workforce capability aligned with organizational goals. This session explores the comprehensive approach to identifying, attracting, selecting, and retaining highly qualified people. We will examine the full talent acquisition lifecycle from strategy development to evaluation and explore evidence-based practices that improve hiring outcomes. Understanding these processes is essential for both ministries, departments, and agencies and private sector organizations in Nigeria as they compete for talent in an increasingly challenging environment. Can I ask a question? If it was very, very easy for you to find the wife or to find the husband, it was very easy for you to find the wife or to find the husband, just type 11 in the chat room. It was very easy. Okay, so for those that say attendance is not opening, just copy the link and put it on your browser. Okay, put it on your browser. Remember to use the Zoom function to enlarge the screen so that you can see what we are presenting. It was very easy for you to find the wife. Okay, so I'm seeing many 11. Okay, now it was a bit challenging for you to find the wife or to find the husband. Not that they were not coming, no, but you needed to be sure that this is the right person. If you had those kind of challenge, write 22 in the chat room. Write 22 in the chat room. Okay. Thank you so much. You see here, this is my perspective to HR. HR is like marriage. And marriage, the first thing in marriage is for you first to define your own goals and your objective, your vision as a man and as a woman. That makes it easier for you people, or for you to easily find who is involved. Sometimes you may even have people that have same vision and same goals with you, but you now begin to see some of these HR principles that we've been talking about play. You see people of different behaviors. They may have the same goals, the same aspiration, but their behaviors are different. So they will have a fallout. Okay. Then you have another people, they have the same goals, they have the same behavior, but their structure is different. One loves organization, one doesn't care about organization. One loves detail, another one doesn't care about detail. One loves consciousness and security, another one says, no, I can't marry this man. No. He doesn't take security for serious. Before one day he will leave me. In the same way, it wasn't easy to find. For those of us that it was very easy to find the wife and the husband, though. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. But for people like me, it wasn't easy. Okay. I had about 5 relationships and one worked out. 5 relationships, one worked out. And I'm enjoying that one that worked out. Okay. I remember when I was serious to marry a lady. The father has not seen me. The mother has not seen me. The father called me and said, if he ever sees me in his house, he will use cutlass and cut off my leg. I said, I've not seen you. You've not seen me. And they are threatening me. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait. Matadeo. Okay. So the same way, it wasn't that easy for some of us to find wives and husbands. The same way, the same applies in talent management. It's not always easy to have the best of staff. Assuming you were to be in charge of your recruitment in your organization, you will agree with me that it has never been a simple journey with recruitment, with selection, and with talent acquisition. Okay, it has never been an easy stuff. Okay, now sometimes you hire people and then their behaviors will leave you like, wow, I didn't see this when I was running the interview. Many people have been sacked because the behavior they started showing was not the same thing we saw during recruitment. The same thing applies. That's why we have divorce happening. When we see discrepancy between what we saw, what we used to see versus what we are seeing now. All right. So this matter of talent acquisition is the key one. And like I've always said, though you might be in the public sector and your role might not be categorically to go around with recruitment and selection, but you can, from the things you're learning here, you can help the private sector people. Some of us can volunteer for NGOs, volunteer for private sector support, and help some SMEs, okay, with their HR functions, especially in the area of selection and recruitment. Okay, that could be a great help to them. All right. Now, the 3 pillars of talent acquisition. Please, if you can see the 3 pillars, can you type it in the chat room? If you can see the 3 pillars, please type it in the chat room. I want to be sure that you can see what you can see my screen. If you can see the 3 pillars, just type at least one in the chat room. And for those of us on YouTube, just type it in the comment section. If you can see the 3 pillars, just type it. If you can see the 3 pillars, just type at least one. Okay. Okay, so you can see it. Thank you so much. So we have attraction, selection, and attrition. These 3 pillars were propounded by Benjamin Schneider, what we call the ASA theory. Now, in the first one, which is attraction, first thing is attraction. The second one is selection. The third one is attrition. So what that simply means is, like the normal parlance we say, soldier go, soldier come, barrack still remains. So from attraction to attrition, it's more like soldier go, soldier come, barrack still remains. Now, under the attraction, job seekers can apply to possible organizations. So attraction is where we'll have all those placements of adverts, run interviews, or perhaps get a pool of talent to apply, submit your CV, and all of that. Then you have the selection. Before we start doing selection, we must have done our interviews. Okay, we must have done our interviews to determine that this person really suits to what we want to do in this organization. Remember, I mentioned that one of the focal things you need to be looking out for in a CV is the career objective of that person. The career objective of that person. Okay, we need to pay attention to career objectives. We need to pay attention to career objectives. Now, after the selection, we have the attrition. Now, in the selection also, after you've done the interview and you've done your selection will also mean that the person you're selecting, based on your interview report, is fit for the organization, is fit for the job you're bringing him to. Okay? And it's also important for us to know that the way that you have to be careful in selecting who is your spouse so that you enjoy your marriage. The same way you have to be very careful in selecting who is your employee or staff so that they don't scatter your organization. So the quality of selection determines the quality of the workforce. I heard of a story recently, and I shared it during our cybersecurity class. A man had worked with someone for 21 years. He is his direct assistant, direct deputy, the vice president of the organization. And then the president gave him all the leverage, all the hands. After all, we are business partners. There is nothing to be afraid of. And I don't need to be worried about you and all of that. And then this deputy went behind, used the company's letterhead, went and wiped off all the money that were in the account, used the same letterhead, borrowed money from their major banks to the tune of 480 million naira. Before the president could recognize what was happening, this man is already UK, living large and living well. They will need Interpol to repatriate him back to Nigeria. So selection is a critical thing. Corruption doesn't just happen. It is the introduction of persons with deviant behaviors that introduces traits like corruption and bribery. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. Let me say this. It is people that build culture. Culture doesn't just happen. Yes, we have culture. There's what we call the voluntary and involuntary culture, conscious and unconscious culture. But whether it is consciously built or unconsciously built, it is people. The actions and inactions, the activities and inactivities, the operations and inoperations of people that built those cultures. So we must be very careful when we come to selection. Then we look at attrition. Once hired, if there is no fit between the person and the job organization, the person will eventually quit. Attrition is simply exit, quit, leave. Okay? This means that the organization will only retain people who are congruent with the characteristics and makeup of the organization. Poor selections leads to costly turnover. When staff start leaving the organization regularly, we call it turnover. All right? Poor selections will lead to high, costly turnovers. Why talent acquisition matters? Number one, attracting top talent. Number two, reducing costs. Streamline hiring processes, improve quality of hires, and lower turnover rates, save significant time and resources. Then number three, improves employee retention. Number four, builds productive teams. Number five, creates diverse and inclusive workforce. Number six, ensures business continuity. This man that through his company they've been able to siphon 480 million is running mad. The person that is making to run mad is somebody that I hired. Somebody that is his staff. Somebody that is his right-hand man. You remember the story of Julius Caesar? The many, out of the many pierces, the many daggers that went into Julius Caesar, the one that killed Julius Caesar was the one that came from his friend Brutus, L2 Brutus. Even you, Brutus, you're among them. So we need to be very careful. Selection, recruitment, selection, and talent acquisition is a serious matter, as it were, when it comes to okay. So after you've done your structuring, what will determine if that structure will work the way you want is the quality. Okay, I need to confirm because some people might not have seen it. Have you ever seen a house? When they were building up the house, you saw that it had very good architectural designs. It was very beautiful on the paper. Even when they started from the foundation, everybody was praising the house. But eventually the house collapsed. Have you ever seen such a thing before? Houses that collapse, and these houses Some of them were upstairs. Some of them were bungalows. Some of them were 2-story building, 3-story building. Okay, if you've ever seen such a thing before, just type 22 in the chat room. Type 22 in the chat room. You've seen those structures, they happen to be mighty, great, but all of a sudden, they had to come down crumbling. Not because there was no structure. One of the problems that lead to that destruction and that collapse is the quality of the materials that were used for the building, the quality of the materials. So irrespective of how big, how buoyant, how strong you think your structure is, if it is not manned by the right persons, that structure will collapse. Have we not seen many a times privatization, government privatizing? Doesn't it have good structure? Haven't we seen government entities that folded up? I was in Nitel the day they were paying off people to go home. I was in Nitel because my uncle then was a deputy director, HR in Nitel, and I was in his office. And he told me, said the problem of Nitel started with management. Management is not a map. Management is individuals. When we say the problem of Nigeria is government, government is not, we say government is an institution. What is an institution? It's people. So we need to be very, very careful when it comes to matters of fitting people into structures, fitting people into frameworks. When we say things like the problem of this country is government, I used to wonder, who is government? Government is human being, composition of human beings. It's just that we are very diplomatic in our conversations. So to avoid hurting anybody, we say the problem is government. But we know exactly the people in government. We know exactly the people causing the trouble. In the same vein, in organizations, same things happen. We know the people that are causing mayhem in organization. But instead of saying who it is, we say the problem of this organization is management. Oh my God. Wow. Then we have effective succession planning and boosting of business performance. Those are the reasons why we need performance management. Now let's look at the 4B of talent acquisition strategy framework. We have the build, we have the buy, we have the borrow, we have the bridge. Okay, so I'm having some of my slides being cut off, but I'm going to explain. So the build means, remember I talked about the 4 different kinds of culture. When it comes to performance, I talked about the control, collaborative, cultivate, and then control. Control culture, collaborative culture, cultivate culture, and there are 4 of them. Control, and performance culture. All right, performance culture, control, collaborate, cultivate, and performance. All right, those are the same things that are in a way represented here. So you have the build. Build is more like you cultivating the talent. You build talent. So you can have a system that builds talent. For example, in the Nigerian system, you have the National Youth Service Corps as a way of building talent. You have Seaways as a way of building talent. And then you have organizations that have things like internship as a way of building talent. So some organizations have that culture of building talent. Okay, so develop talent internally through partnerships with schools and universities, internships and graduate hiring programs, and internal capability development and upskilling. Then also in measures as build, when we get to level 2, the more advanced classes, there is still on organizational design, there is what we call OD methodologies, organizational design methodologies. One of it is called job rotation. And one of the essence of job rotation is to build vast skills within the organization. In my early careers, I worked with USC Nigeria. And the USC then, I worked in the USC restaurant, the ones that we used to know those days as Mr. Biggs, USC food courts, Chicken Inn, chicken, what do you call it, pepperoni, and all of those ones. Okay, so under the USC Nigeria, you have USC Kitchen. Okay, so I worked under the USC restaurant. I worked under the USC restaurant. And when you come to USC restaurants or USC food generally, during your first few months in the organization, they'll be rotating you. They'll be rotating you. You will get skills from finance. You will get skills from operations. You will get skills from the front desk. You will get skills from procurement. You will get skills from store and inventory. You will get skills from Chicken Inn, from Ice Cream Inn, from Pizza Inn, from Village Kitchen, from you just get from Mr. Biggs. You will get different skills from security, different skills. Then at the end of the day, they begin to put you where you are supposed to be. Now, by so doing, they are building internal capacity. What this means is, peradventure, somebody is shorting in a particular court or in a particular inn. You can move somebody maybe from Mr. Biggs and say, go to Pizza Inn and represent somebody depending when you come back. And you can move somebody from Pizza to Village Kitchen and all of that. So you're building. Another one is buy. Here you hire experienced external talent from competitors or the external market. Attract candidates with strong employee value proposition. Okay. The salary and benefits play a major role here. 84% of employers say benefit packages help attract top talent. Okay, now for the buy, it is best for startups and rapidly growing organizations. For the build, it is best for large scale tech companies like the IBMs and co, but not just them. There are many others. Okay, there are many others that can leverage on that as well. Then we have the other one. There we have the what do you call that? The borrow. Now under the borrow, just a moment. Under borrow, it works with part-time, freelance, contract, contingent, and temporary workers, and provides flexibility without long-term commitment for unique or short-term project needs. So you can get people on short-term engagement for the purpose of borrowing them. Then the bridge is that you leverage learning and development programs to increase existing employees. You use talent analytics to identify high-performance employees suitable for future opportunities and promotions. So you bridge the gap between what is expected and what is currently on ground. Now, let's quickly look at, I have 12 minutes to go. Hope I'm correct. Is it 12? Yeah, I think about 12. 17 minutes to go. Let's see how fast we can go. 9-step talent acquisition process. Part 1. We have number 1, organizational needs analysis. Without organizational needs analysis, you can never have a successful recruitment and selection exercise. It's impossible. Remember, when we are saying organizational needs analysis, it starts from your corporate strategy that contains your vision, your missions, your goals, and your objectives. And we've established over and over again that before we could bring people in, there must be an alignment. There is a strategic role of HR to make sure that there is an alignment between corporate goals and individual goals. So from the point of recruitment, our corporate strategy have already justified what our vision, goals, mission, objectives are, and then that will help us with knowing exactly what is our need, and then also help us with what alignment are we looking at. Then we have job approval for job requisition. Yes, there must be request for job before we start recruiting, before we start selecting, before we start placing. There must be requisition. Okay, there must be requisition. Okay, there must be requisition. Okay. Formal procedure to request a hire. Document explains why the position is needed, whether it is new or existing, department name, hiring manager, job duties, pay and budget, start date, and whether permanent or temporary, full-time or part-time, direct manager and relevant director or VP formally approved. They have the vacancy intake, which is your job analysis. So you've done your needs analysis. You are able to know exactly what your organization needs. And then you begin to understand where they need them, the departments that need them, the units that need them, the roles that need them. And then you now do what we call a job analysis. Okay. Collect all relevant information to make a good job hire, include job descriptions, like your required skills, competencies, daily activities, then your person specification, like your qualification, experience, must-haves, and nice-to-haves. And then you have your competency framework. Wow, that's your competency framework is a deep dive, is a serious concern in, especially with OD. Competency framework is a serious matter. Okay, competency framework is a serious matter. So your competency framework requires your competencies at minimum levels, and then criteria, create ideal candidate persona. Then you have this step 4, 5, and 6. I'm seeing some overlaps there. Please forgive that. But step 4 is determining selection criteria and methods based on vacancy intakes analysis. Choose appropriate selection methods for the role, for the specific role. Okay. I'm seeing some overlaps there. Selection, station 5 is searching and attraction, where you make the vacancy visible and people begin to submit their CVs. Then step 6 is administer the selection process through your screen applications and resumes. And then you have your pre-selection tests like cognitive and aptitudes, and others that you use like your interviews, background checks, and others. Now, the next step is the selection methods and predictive selection methods and predictive validity. Now, in your selection methods and predictive validity, according to Schmidt and Hunter 1998, in their meta-analysis of 85 years of research, they presented that selection methods and predictive validity could range from high validity to medium validity to lower validity. And the high validity will mean using work sample tests, general mental abilities, your structured interviews, and peer ratings. Then for your minimum validity, you have your job knowledge tests and the scores expected of them, the unstructured interviews, assessment centers, and biographical data. Then for your lower validity, you have your reference checks, years of education, and graphology. The key insight here for evidence-based selection is combining multiple methods increases your overall predictive validity. Your general mental ability test is single best predictor for job performance across roles. And then structured approaches consistently outperform unstructured methods, and then work samples directly assess job relevant skills and behaviors. Building strong employer brand. It is important to note that people will always want to go to employers that have stronger brand. I worked in a company that is perceived to be a multinational company. The salary was nothing to write home about. But people prefer to come to the company because of the fact that it gives you ego, it puts you in a class. And then sometimes that particular platform becomes a springboard. So another employer may try to get to you, and then they may think, for you to be in social company, they must be paying you big. They don't know that you're actually there to do a co-branding with them. So building strong employer brand actually attracts talents. Building strong employer brand attracts talents. Now, the components of a strong employer brand will include your employee value proposition, company culture, career development opportunities, compensation and benefits, work-life balance, and mission and impact. My mentor once told me he resigned from a particular company, and I asked him why. He took a job that he had 250,000 lower than where he was. And I asked him, why did you leave the place and took a job that was 250,000 lesser? And he said, Benito, this other job that I just took, yes, it is 250,000 lesser, but I'm going to be working from my house. I have the opportunity to travel around the world, and I don't need to make any payment to anybody. The company is completely responsible for it. My insurance is completely covered. My children have the privilege of traveling around the world, and the company pays for it. So the question is, will your 250,000 extra do it? So that's what employer brand can do. On the outside, it may look like they are paying you lower, but what they are putting inside you is far higher than what money can actually pay for. Talent acquisition best practices. You have, for talent acquisition to be of the best practices, number one, it has to be data driven. Number two, candidate experience excellence. That's providing clear communication throughout the process with timely feedback at each stage. Anytime I am involved in a recruitment process, and then candidates have to call to remind the team that you people say we're supposed to have interview today, and we have the it used to shake me to my bone. So if I'm in any recruitment circle, I will make sure that communication. When are you people having the next interview? Please make sure you send out text messages and make sure you keep communicating by any means. That day will not hold, or that time will not hold. Make sure you communicate. Don't just get people and then at the end of the day say, I'm sorry, we forgot where. Okay, so there should be excellence in the whole process. Then there should be diversity and inclusion, and technology and automation should be used. There is what we call the ATS, applicant tracking system. Many MDAs now are beginning to use that. But when we come tomorrow, remind me. If you remind me, I will practically show us how that works. I will just pull out an ATS system, and all of us can use it. Okay, an ATS system that you can use for recruitment. Okay, what ATS does is that ATS, applicant tracking system, it helps your recruitment. Okay, so let's assume you have specific job specification for the job you're looking for. In your ATS, you can put up those job descriptions such that if anybody applies, there is an automatic filtering. So the ATS only provides you with people that qualifies for the next phase of that operation, rather than having 5,000 people interviewed at the same time, which could be very exhausting. It will help you to cut off those who are not qualified. Maybe out of 5,000, you're able to get 20. So you focus on the 20. Okay. All right. Now let's move on. Talent acquisition in Nigeria. Talent acquisition in the public sector. The unique challenges: civil service rules and regulations constrain flexibility in hiring process, limited use of data and data analytics in recruitment decision making, budget constraint affecting compensation competitiveness, infrastructure limitation for technology-enabled recruitment, political appointment influencing hiring decisions and merit-based selections, bureaucratic processes slowing hiring timelines and responsiveness, brain drain to private sector and international opportunities. The opportunities for the public sector would be government focus on capacity building and civil service reform initiatives. Young, educated workforce seeking meaningful public service careers can be brought in. Increasing adoption of e-government and digital systems. Servicom and other quality service improvement programs. National development goals, creative mission-driven appeal. Regional talent mobility through the ECOWAS protocol. The best practices for MDAs. Streamline approval process while maintaining accountability and transparency so we can reduce the bureaucracy. Develop partnership with universities for graduate recruitment programs. Use structured interviews to reduce bias and improve hiring quality. Leverage technology for efficiency, like your online applications, digital assessments, and the likes. Build talent pipelines for critical skills like ICT, data analytics, and project management. Invest in employer branding, highlighting public service mission and national impact. Implement competency-based selection, not just paper justifications. Create clear career progression paths and development opportunities, and link recruitment to national development goals and service delivery mandates. To the private sector, we have the unique challenges of intense competition for specialized talent across industries, skills gap in emerging areas, high employee turnover in industries, salaries inflection for in-demand skills, family business structures affecting hiring decisions, balancing global standards with local realities, limited talent pools for niche and specialized roles. The opportunities here will be flexibility to innovate in recruitment approaches, ability to offer competitive compensation and benefits, strong employer brands in leading companies, growing startup ecosystems, attracting young talent, digital transformation, enabling new recruitment channels, increasing professionalization of HR functions, and regional expansion, creating diverse opportunities. So have the best practices there, which would be to develop compelling EVP, differentiating from competitors, investing in brand and social media presence, use employee referral programs, build university partnerships, and many others that have been listed there. In summary, talent acquisition is strategic and recruitment is tactical. The ASA theory explains workforce composition. Can somebody help us with the full meaning of ASA again? Please help me put it in the chat room. The ASA, put that in the chat room. The full meaning of ASA. What's the full meaning of ASA? Let's put that in the chat room. The 4B framework provides strategic options. The 9-step process ensures systematic approach. And our the evidence-based selection improves outcomes. Somebody says that the ASA is Africa Tracking System. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Africa Tracking System. There is no answer that is wrong or that is wrong. All the answers are correct. Okay. So I have attraction, selection, and attrition. Okay. So somebody said the ASA is American Society of Anesthesiologists. Wonderful. This is amazing. Okay. Everything you presented here is correct, but for the purpose of this class, ASA is attraction, selection, and attrition. For the purpose of this class, ASA is attraction, selection, and attrition. Employee brand is the competitive advantage, and then we have that context matters in the Nigerian context matters in the Nigerian environment. Thank you so much. And this is where we call it a timeout for today. So I have few seconds to 4 p.m. Please, I will want you to clap for yourself for a great day. Can you please clap for yourself? Everyone, let's clap for ourselves. It has been a lovely time. Wonderful. This is 4 p.m. on the dot. Please clap for yourself. Clap for yourself. For everyone that have been in this class from 12 noon down to this time, we sincerely want to appreciate you for a great work. And I trust you've learned something great, something amazing today. All right. The time is 4 p.m. Do I have any question, any comment, any contribution? Questions, comment, contribution, and then we move. Do I have any question, any comment, any contribution? Questions, comments, contributions, any? Questions, comments, contributions, any? All right. So if there are no questions, if there are no contributions, I would like to say one more time, thank you so much for a great learning time with you. Tomorrow we will continue. Out of 7 courses, is it 7 or 8 courses? I think about 7 courses. We've been able to deal with 5. So tomorrow we'll be rounding off with our class. I think we have about 2 or 3 classes remaining. But please, tomorrow, when we are coming, come with your system. Put your system by the side and make sure that it's connected to the internet, because we'll be running some practicals alongside. Okay, more of these things we've been discussing. We'll be doing the practicals alongside. Okay, we'll be doing the practicals alongside. Importantly as well, please be reminded that for this course, though it is free, the certificate is at a token, okay, which we have shared with us. Okay, so in case you, not that in case, we encourage you to get your certificates. Okay, we encourage everyone to get their certificates for this program. Okay, as that will go a long way in adding color and value to your newly achieved profession as a HR professional. Okay. Okay. So I am saying a very big thank you to everyone. I just want to get information on the certificate. Okay. Okay, so this certificate is 50,000 naira for MDAs and members, and for non-members and non-MDAs, it is 65,000 naira, and you're at liberty to start making your payment. On the screen is the information regarding the payment. When you make your payment, please feel free to send your proof of payment to the WhatsApp platform, and also to our email, finance@iipmi.org. That being said, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, and I will congratulate you in advance. Out of 100%, we've done 75%. The remaining 25% tomorrow will be awesome. So one more time, please, can we put our hands together for ourselves? Let's put our hands together for ourselves. It has been glorious, and we sincerely appreciate you for your understanding. Thank you so much. I may not be able to call everybody's name, but we sincerely appreciate